Okay, today we're going to work on a Gold Swivel Matic. It's a 1960s Robothut type robot, and when I received it, the motor did run, the body would rotate, but it wouldn't walk, which commonly means one of the gears down the bottom is broken, and also the gun mechanism here, which is the two-tier type. This metal link right here had come out of its slot right there, so this was all hanging loose and not working. So once I put it back in the slot, I rebent this bar so that it would stay in place. Also, I guess its biggest problem was that it had super wobbly legs. It wouldn't even really stand without falling over because everything was so wobbly. So I needed to figure all that out, and I decided to, of course, start with why it wouldn't walk and why the legs are wobbly. One, if I can't fix the wobbly legs, then there's no point fixing the walking mechanism. And the wobbly legs came down to two things. This shaft that you see back here is a pivot shaft, and the original one was bent, which means some kid had grabbed it and yanked on it like that and bent it. And then what often happens when that kind of leverage has been put on it, you'll see how the legs are made in two parts, and this is a crimp seam where they're crimped together and crimped together. Those will actually slide once it's been reefed. And that means one side can go higher or lower than the other as these parts slide with each other. We don't have to move much, fraction of a millimeter, and instead of the legs being like this, one will be sticking out at the side, or one will be sticking in, rubbing. And there's really only about two ways to fix that once this crimp seam has been compromised to the point where it's sliding. One, if you didn't care what the robot looked like, you could come line everything up, come in here with some dikes or something and pinch it and give it a little bit of a twist. But since I do care what the robot looks like, I generally go for cleaning at the very top of the legs down to bare metal and soldering the two in the right position so they can no longer move. And that generally takes care of that. Now, as far as the not walking, this is the crank that goes and drives the legs. As you can see, it has a crack in it. And on the shaft, there's little divot places where they put in there to bite into it to keep it from sliding. And the way these are built in the 1960s one is this metal cradle that it's going to fit into. The gear is set in there, a straight shaft is pushed into the correct place, and then another machine bends the cranks into the end of it. So it isn't meant to be replaced. And the gear that drives it would be this one, and the gear itself is yellowed from the old grease turning hard, but it also had, as many of the old ones do, walked all the way up. It was pushed up here. I put in a brass insert, and I could in fact use this gear. This is a good usable gear, so I'm going to save this. But in order to repair this, since this isn't a common gear that you can get anywhere except in Robothut type robots, that's when you gotta get yourself a cheap China one. You can get junk ones that are missing heads or legs, have been mistreated at garage sales or whatever, and strip them down to where you can get in there to get the gear that you need out. And since they hadn't changed the design much, I also salvaged this out of the China Reaper one because it's new, it's in better shape. You can see they really haven't changed anything in the design from the 60s to now as far as the repro part goes. So the plan now is this gear fits down in like that, and then when it turns, it transfers the motion at 90 degrees to make the legs move. They should get further back. I'm thinking I'm going to put a little bit of lithium grease on that before I assemble that, because this upper gearbox mechanism fits down onto that gear shaft, slides up into this hole, and those four slots that you see right there, those will then interface with these four tabs which you bend over. to hold the leg mechanism on. And I think I've got some white lifting grease over here. If I'd been thinking ahead, I'd already had it out. I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom where that sits in, and I'll put some on the gear teeth as well. There's an incredible amount of torque put on this part of the toy when it's in operation. Insane amount, actually. That's the front. This is the front. You don't want to put it on backwards. Make a heck of a mess out of it, right? Okay. I hope, I don't know for sure, I think everything's lined up. I don't want to have to bend these tabs any more than necessary, because if they drop off, then you're in a world of hurt. Sometimes you have to move the mechanism to get them all in place, but I'm hoping maybe I can reach in there with my needle nose here and bend that tab over, or at least get it to the point where I can get it with the end of a screwdriver and bend it over. Alright, I'm going to try and turn it instead. Let's lift this gear up. Here we go. This is the one I was trying to get into, this last one here. I'd already gotten the others. Okay. Now let's put it back where it belongs. Typically, it'd be a good idea to test run the whole thing before you go any further, so you're not bending tabs. I'm not sure that these old dollar store penlight batteries will have enough oomph to do the job, but maybe it'll run a little bit and I can find out whether we're good to go. I don't think they have enough of what it takes. Let's see, this needs to run in this direction. So it's trying to move the motor. Just doesn't have enough energy to do it, I'm guessing. Got the back of the body here, which has some D cells in it. We'll give this a shot. I'm going to check the polarity while I'm at it though. Kind of looks like it's the other way around. You don't want to run, so you have to make sure you run the motor in the right direction in these, because if you run it the wrong direction, there's a ramp in there that switches the functions between locking and Robothut and all that kind of stuff. And if you get that turning the wrong way, you'll jam things up big time. So I'm not going to bend these tabs, I'm just sliding them into their slots, or trying to slide them into their slots. And maybe the batteries will stay in place long enough for me to test things out. I don't think that's going to stay unless I actually do bend this a little bit. If I give it a little bit of a bend, maybe it'll hang in there. Okay, stay there. So I think I'm going to have to solder these wires on. And I should have had this puppy up on full power, but I didn't. Hey, baby. Got I had in the off position. Last thing I want is the body spinning around while I'm got a hot soldering gun in my hand. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we got going now. Alright. We definitely have locking action. That's a good. That means I'm going to go ahead and bend the rest of these body tabs down. Looks like they were bent to the back originally because there's marks in the metal. So I will do the same. It's these side body tabs that I'm fastening that holds the battery box and body onto the gearbox. I would have been more inclined to have bent them to the front because having all of them bend to the back seemed like a bad idea from a structural standpoint, but what the heck, right? Okay, now we've got the front part and the head to try to get on there. Sometimes you need like a shoehorn to do this, but this one seemed to be going on okay. And take the screwdriver to the upper tabs. And I need a pointy tool for the lower tab. They provide a hole in order to bend that tab in. Like so. Trying to finish bending the top tabs now. Okay, that's a good. And my soldering jobs, are they good? Yes, those seem to be good. On the body top, you can see you've got these tabs along here, and you've got tabs along here, so you basically tab that in and then it slides down onto those tabs on the side. And there's also tabs in the back. Like so. Then, before I bend these tabs up on the shoulders, because you don't normally get too many chances at those, I'm going to test it again, make sure everything's happy. Alright. That is about as good as a, what is it, 50, 60-year-old toy is going to go. I'd already lubed the motor and cleaned it and all that, so Only thing I have left to do is to bend those tabs, and again there's small holes here in the back shoulder where you insert something pointy to bend that tab up. This one over here is always a bit of a problem. Sometimes I can get in it with a flat end of an X-Acto blade or something and bend that up so it holds. But there you have it. It's your Golden Swivel Matic. And this is the good one with the fly eyes. I like the fly eyes a lot better than the ones with the astronaut faces inside. It just looks more robotic.